Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello and welcome to the show. I am your host, Becky Auer, and today I'm so excited to have as my guest Joe Grushkin. Joe is the CEO, president, and founder of the National Association of Local Businesses. And Joe, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to be my guest.
Well, Becky, I am not only honored, but very flattered to be here. And I am so excited, in looking at your background and the groups you work with. I'm honored to be here. You have a wonderful organization, and I love how many people you're helping grow their businesses.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know what? Right back at you, because I know just in the brief time that we have talked before this interview, that you are just killing it out there working with hundreds of entrepreneurs, kind of like I have over the years, and we're kind of from the same from the same mix of we love helping entrepreneurs. We want to help them reach a higher level of success, income, opportunity, and you've just done all of that throughout your career. So thank you for that, and thank you on behalf of everyone listening today.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to share some ideas and thoughts, and hopefully we give somebody a nugget that they can take away, and most importantly, come back and say, hey, I heard you, and then we did this, and that happened, and everything spun out in the right direction for them. So it's very exciting to be here.
That's right. The light bulb moment goes off, as I like to say, and you're like, oh.
It's when you hear that angelic choir singing on your behalf, you know something went right.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Well, give us a little background, if you will, on yourself, and then what you are working on and how you came up with what you're doing right now.
I would love to, and thank you for asking. If you don't mind, I'm going to start where it all began for me, and I'll kind of give you a lineage of what I went through, and essentially everything I've done in my adult career has prepared me and culminated in what we're doing currently. So I don't want to go way far back. I was born in a log cabin or anything like that, but I started out my career when I was going into my senior year of college, and I sold Cutco knives as a summer job.
Right.
Now, if anybody, are you familiar with Cutco, Becky?
I am. They're an unbelievable sales training company and just an all-around great company.
Yeah, and I was right there in the beginning when they had only 11 sales offices when we got started, and when I got started, I was the top rep in New England and number 3 in the nation. And
wow,
I kind of felt my calling. My dad was very glad that I found it because he was afraid I was going to graduate and just become a bartender at a casino someplace. So, so I ended up doing very well in real dollars. Back then, I earned about $10,000 at my summer job, which would be the equivalent of about 40 or 50 grand today. And I did very well, and I really enjoyed it, and I got tapped out to go to the manager training program in my senior year. I opened a sales office when I graduated. Actually, I had to take a day off from working to go back and get my diploma and graduate. So it was kind of a wild whirlwind tour. And I became a sales manager in Stamford, Connecticut for Cutco. And that summer, well, I digress. The previous summer, there was a record-breaking year by a summer manager that did $183,000. He was the top guy in the company with that performance. And I said I was going to beat that, and everybody thought I was just a cocky kid coming in. And that year we did over $210,000 in sales for the summer. And I earned about $40,000 in income that summer when I graduated from college. To give you an idea, the product today is about 4 times more expensive than it was back then. So the product has increased. The product hasn't changed. It's still the great product that it is, but over time the value went up. So in today's dollars, I would have earned about $120,000 of income that first summer. So it was a pretty good run. The way I did it, though, was through productivity by training salespeople. And the average sales rep back then did about $800 in sales. And that was pretty good because of the way the business was structured. My first summer, my salespeople did $2,000 per person. So we were significantly higher. Again, 4 times that would have been $8,000 per rep in today's dollars.
Wow.
2 years later, I moved up to Boston that next year. And the following year, 2 years later, my office is doing over $4,000 per salesperson. Ironically, that would be in the neighborhood of $16,000 today. The average sales rep today does under $500 in today's dollars. So our productivity has never been challenged, and it was the highest it's ever been in the entire company, in the history of the company. It's an 80-year-old company now.
Incredible.
Yeah, so we had a really good run. I went up to New England as a division manager, started with my own office. 3 years later, we had 18 sales offices throughout New England, all from development from within. And then they asked me to go to Canada as the national sales manager of Canada. And I started out with 5 transplanted managers. And 7 years later, we had 55 offices and 5,500 salespeople in the last year I was up there. We actually trained over 20,000 salespeople in my career. And I was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1991. I retired in 1997 at the age of 37 years old. So, yeah, it was a fun ride.
Were you inherently a good salesperson, or how did you know what to do?
I didn't know. I needed a summer job. I was bartending for the summer and in between semesters, and I just needed something to do during the day because my mom would yell at me, even though I made good money bartending. She'd go get a job. So a friend of mine started working with them, so I went to the training, and next thing you know, I was running the office my first summer. At the end of the summer, helping the manager run the office. So I really got the bug. Was I a good salesperson? I don't know. It was a great program. It was a great training ground. It was a systemic process. When I became a manager myself, I saw areas to make it better, and I applied that to what I thought would be beneficial to people who were in my shoes just, when I was a year earlier. So I saw ways to make it better, and that's why the productivity skyrocketed the way it did. So I'm sorry?
I was just going to say that I think it's such a key point for our listeners that I don't want to blow over it, that you really had a process or a system to follow from them,
right.
But then you just put your own spin on it and made it better. And isn't that just the lifeblood of entrepreneurism? Is like
exactly.
You take something that's working and then you just make it better and you make it your own.
Well, that's what I did. But, to kind of amplify your point, though, I want to go back to the fact that first summer, I did it the way they told me to do it. I just did it with my own personality and style. And, there's an old story about salespeople. And the story goes that there was an insurance company that had a sales guy who was the best sales guy 3 years running. And, they had hundreds and hundreds of salespeople, but this guy just beat everybody by triple every year. I mean, he was 3 times more than everybody else every year, year in, year out. So they brought in this consulting company to study this guy, and they watched what he ate and what he drank and how much he slept and what his family was like. And they went all the way into his background, all the way to kindergarten to find out, talk to his teachers. They did a deep dive on him. And they put together this huge analysis, cost, millions of dollars, as the story goes. And they did this analysis. And when they boiled it down, at the end of the day, he just did what they told him at 3 times more activity. So, when you look at what people do, the person who's going to go out and work harder and focus on the basics and focus on the skill set that they've laid out as a success formula, anybody can be successful. But it's the can-do mindset that gets you there. It's the mindset of doubt and apprehension and lethargy and distractions. I always say, the biggest problem with most independent salespeople is they got to go get their dog's butt shaved, because that's more important than going out and making sales calls. So the idea here is that I just went out and blindly did what they told me to do. They said, call people this many times a day. I did that. And they said, go out and see people and prospect and blah, 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 and read the script this way and put your personality into it. And that's what made me successful with that career.
Well, that's an amazing story in and of itself. So congratulations, first of all, because that is an unbelievable accomplishment.
Well, the story goes on, because when I retired, I bought a franchise, and this took me from going out and not only in-home selling and training people to sell in-home, but this was my transition. The franchise sold business-to-business shipping services. Now everybody remembers Airborne Express if you're old enough, and Airborne had a contract with the franchisor. We were a franchisee, and the franchisor got a discount and had a license to resell their services. So we would go into small businesses, say, what are you paying FedEx or UPS? They'd say $18 to send out a letter. We'll say, we'll charge you $12, and we got it at $6. So Airborne would pick up the package, we would bill the customer, we'd collect the money and pay for what they used. I did that for about 15 years. I had, 15 salespeople in my market. We owned 5 franchises. And then my dad and I were partners. I ran it for about 10 years after he retired. And I knew it was time to sell it, and we sold it for a nice 7-figure number. And I thought I would retire again, and this retirement thing never seems to work out for me for some reason. So when I retired, I was relaxing, and my phone started ringing, and people would say, can you help me with a business plan? Can you help me with training, recruiting, marketing, online activity? And I ended up a business coach for about 10 years. And as a business coach, I was working with, again, small businesses, because I was just spent 15 years selling to them. I knew what their issues were. Now I was able to help them with their mindset, their coaching them with ideas and training and guiding them through the navigating the sales processes to help them grow their businesses. And in 2007, I noticed flat screen TVs getting bigger and cheaper. I also knew that radio, TV, newspaper, and magazines were dying and very difficult to work with and very expensive with very low results, especially for small businesses. And the one thing my clients kept saying to me was, how do I get more local business? So I noticed the trend of the TVs, and I said, I wonder if we could put advertising on the TV at a low price so local businesses can get exposure. So this was before Times Square had digital walls everywhere. This was before out-of-home marketing was really prevalent everywhere with flat screens. So we hung up a TV in the local deli in my town, and between Thanksgiving and New Year's, I sold 30 ads to go on that screen. And so if anybody ever says you can't sell between Thanksgiving and New Year's, please have them contact me. I'll talk to them for you.
Everybody's taking a break, and you were out there selling.
Exactly. I mean, it didn't matter. I just knew that we had a great concept. And to fast forward from there, 3 years later, we had 350 screens around the country, a network of independent salespeople selling ads on screens, and we were doing over $2 million in sales in our 3rd year. So it was really going gangbusters until I noticed 2 things happening. One was I was sitting in the deli looking up at the screen. I looked down, and there was a line of people, but they weren't looking at the screen. They were all looking at this black device in their palm of their hand. And in 2010, this interesting thing came out. It was called a smartphone. And everybody had one all of a sudden. And I knew that it took the eyeballs off the screen and onto the palm of their hand. The other thing that I noticed was our customers, and we had thousands of them across the country, started calling us up saying, love the screens, but what's a tweet? And how do I use Facebook? And we really didn't have an answer for them at that time. So I got together with my daughter and her boyfriend. They were graduating from college, who's now her husband. And I said to them, I think this face thing is going to be big. And they still give me a hard time for calling it a face thing because I didn't really know what it was.
Right.
And nobody did. I mean, did any business owner? And nobody understood in 2010 what this social thing was. Nobody understood the interweb net thing out there. They just knew that it was out there and they didn't know how to deal with it. So I said to the kids, let's figure out how to do this. So to make a long story short, we cobbled together software that didn't really do what we needed it to do, and we repurposed it to do what we needed it to do. And we started to expand our network of customers to manage social media. A matter of fact, in 2011, the words social media manager were not even in Wikipedia. It didn't exist.
Wow.
So we were really on the front end of this, and we started managing social media for small businesses by posting content to Facebook, monitoring and responding to reviews on Yelp. Matter of fact, Facebook and Google didn't even have review sections at that time. And we would build a Google page so they can get found. And this was revolutionary. And for a few $100 a month, our customers expanded nationwide, again, through a rep network of independent salespeople. So over the next 6 years, we expanded our product line because Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn all came out with social sites, and review sites came out, and we managed all those platforms for our customers, in addition to listing services and website design and SEO and email marketing and advertising through Google and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. In other words, we became a full service agency over the next 6 years with over 80 different products and services available specifically for small businesses at really discounted pricing. So we made it so that it was affordable, it was US-based support, and that it was easy for a small business owner who didn't have the time, know-how, or ability to be consistent. Then, again, noticing trends. And as an entrepreneur, you really have to notice, that you got to keep your head on a swivel and notice what's going on around you. You can't have blinders on. And I noticed that in 2018, if I walked into a business with a salesperson or whatever and talk about social media, they'd say, you're the fifth person in here today. Or I'd go to a networking event and there were 5 people who stood up and said, I do social media, I do websites, I do this, I do that. And I said, these people were in high school when I got started. Right. Anybody who couldn't hold a job became a social media manager all of a sudden. I'm not offending anybody who does it because there are a lot of good ones out there, but there were a lot of people who were just getting into it, and they were changing the understanding and the message that was being sent out. So I realized we needed to differentiate ourselves as a company. And in doing so, I started to connect with businesses that provided services to small business, local business owners. And in that, I realized that local businesses, independent businesses, they weren't getting discounts, they weren't getting volume benefits, and they weren't getting service like big companies were. So what we did was we cobbled together about 45 products and services from different vendors and put them all under one umbrella called the National Association of Local Businesses. The National Association of Local Businesses provides over 100 products and services at discounted pricing, normally reserved for much larger companies. Through our collective buying power, we bring together these top quality products and services so that local businesses, independent businesses, can be more profitable, productive, and promoted to more customers. Membership in the association is totally free. So
wow.
all they do is pay for the services that they use, and when they do, they're getting better pricing than they could get if they weren't part of a membership. So we've expanded this across the country through what we call an ambassador network. And our ambassadors get the access to these products and services so they can sell them to local businesses, or if they're already selling to local businesses, now they can bring in 100 additional products. So they become the go-to person in that community for everything marketing related. So now we have...
if I'm hearing you correctly, it's almost like that business person who comes into the National Association of Local Businesses with you as like a partner almost can become his own agency.
Correct.
And be able to offer all of those things because he has people to fulfill.
Without having to fulfill it themselves. So for instance, not only the social media products and services that we have under the Max Exposure brand, but they can provide accounting, business funding. So let's say somebody wants to do a $10,000 advertising campaign. We have a partner that will provide them the credit line to be able to get that cash, to be able to do that advertising. We have credit card processing with an average fee of 2.2 per transaction or 0 per transaction. So we have some really cool programs that get pricing down to as low as 0 for the merchant. We have printing and automobile concierge service, so somebody could get a car for their daughter going to college or a fleet for their sales team. We have all kinds of products and services, LinkedIn consultants and software that will help a business prospect on LinkedIn through automation. Could you imagine sending out 100 individual messages a day to connect with people in a specific market or group so that you can target them, connect with them, and then engage with them through Messenger rather than just advertising? And that software costs less than $100 a month. So we have some really cool stuff on our what we call our store, where we have, again, over 100 products and services. One of the coolest things we have, Becky, is a telemedicine program. Have you ever heard of telemedicine before?
Well, no, but I can only assume it's a doctor will jump on like a Zoom call or on the telephone with you and diagnose.
Could you imagine have the mom who has, 3 kids, it's 3 a.m, and that's the only time of the day that your 4-year-old gets the ear infection. So you have 3 kids, dad is traveling, it's the middle of the winter, it's cold and nasty out, and your kid is screaming with an ear infection. So you got to get them all in snowsuits, load them all into the car, take them to the ER or urgent care, and deal with that. Could you imagine, instead of that, logging on, having a video chat with a board-certified doctor in this country, having that conversation, they diagnose it, they call or send the prescription to your local CVS or Walgreens or whatever, and you can pick up that prescription right in your neighborhood and have that kid taken care of without having to take them all to the doctor and sit in a waiting room. That program we offer to businesses so they can offer it to their employees. Now, the real benefit is that local pizza place that has, 4 waitresses and 2 cooks. He can't afford, an $800 a month insurance package to keep his employees as part of his company. But could you imagine if he offered them telemedicine for $100 a month? He pays, or maybe he splits it with them, whatever he wants to do. It's $99 a month. And here's the punchline. They can use it, unlimited use, for their entire family.
Wow.
So services like that most people don't even know exist. We have traditional medical insurance that will cut your rates in half, and it's in 42 states. We have all kinds of really cool stuff that most business owners don't even know exist. IT support, and we even have a guy who'll deliver hot tubs anywhere in the country. So so our breadth of products is really very, very diverse, and we built it with the mindset that small business owners, it's time that they get some benefit, that they're not just random independent businesses, that we should consolidate them all together and bring them tremendous services so they in turn have the opportunity to not only save money, but be, level the playing field with the big guys.
Well, yeah, that is, as an independent business owner of any sort, you do feel like you're all alone out there. And I think that a service like you're talking about, that brings businesses under one umbrella to get those discounts and to get those special deals is freaking amazing.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, I hope I don't spawn too many other competitors, but there's nobody doing this. There's nobody who's pulled together the breadth of services that we've developed. And and even if there was, the real beauty that most people, the entrepreneurs of the world see is the ambassador opportunity for people to engage with this. Earlier, you had mentioned that somebody who becomes a partner with this, they become that go-to resource. Well, that's the real magic to this, because, hey, an umbrella with all those products under it is only as good as the number of people who are introduced to it. And our ambassador network is the real magic to this. There might be some big company that tries to do this online, but people want to touch and see and smell the people that they deal with. I think the pendulum has swung too far to one side where everything went online, like the Amazons of the world. It's starting to swing back where they want to do business with people, especially business owners. They want to take your temperature before they give you their money. They just don't want to click a button. And if they're getting as good or not better rates than they could find online, they would rather deal with a person. Even if it's a little bit higher in price, they'd rather deal with a person. So yes. The ambassador, you agree with that?
I 100% agree with that, and I think you're right. I think things are switching back over. Yes. I mean, there's always convenience, right? There's always something like if that's hard to find, you check Amazon, it's here in 2 days, things are good. Right. But if it's something where you can support a local business or support a local business owner, I do think that is a priority for some people.
I think it's a priority for a lot of people. Look, I understand the mom who's in the car and she's got one going to soccer practice, one going to cello lessons, and one in the bucket in the back seat. I get that it's hard for her to pull over, take the kid out of the bucket, pick up the other kids, and still go into the hardware store to buy a mop. While she's waiting in line, she can hit a button. It's going to be delivered by a drone before she even gets home, okay? So I get that. But when you need something and you need to talk to somebody and you want to make sure it's specific for your business, there's nobody better than Ace Hardware, because they're there right in your neighborhood. They're your friends and your neighbors. So about dealing with those local businesses, that's the beauty in working with people. And I think that business to business sales is going to be the same way. Business owners, they don't trust what they see online any longer. They want to look somebody in the eye and have that person they're talking to be accountable to them. They want to be able to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Charlie, I need some help with this," or "I want to make sure that I'm getting this from my relationship with your company, and Charlie's going to take care of that." Sending an email to somebody that is offshore is never going to be the same. So our ambassadors are that face of the business in that community. And our ambassador network is beautiful because it pays commissions for the life of the customer. And I'll repeat that. This is the closest thing a salesperson can get to long-term residual income. Because as long as they're connected to that customer and the customer is buying products and services and using them on a monthly or recurring basis, the commissions are paid the Monday after the sale is created. And that becomes a powerful, powerful income stream for an independent salesperson. So ambassadors come in two flavors. There's the B2B salesperson. They're out selling, advertising or insurance or consulting services, or they're maybe selling magazine ads or radio ads. They're independent salespeople typically, and consultants are great resources for ambassadors because they're always talking to people and they're always being asked, how can I fix this? And when they refer the products and services under the National Association of Local Businesses umbrella, they get a piece of that action for the life of that customer. And that commission can be 30% all the way up to 60%, depending on their level with the company. And that, if you go to their website, you can hear more about that, but I'm just giving you a range. But those commissions continue for the life of the customer. And we have customers that go all the way back to 2011 when we started. So they stick around for a long, long time.
So if you are an owner of a business, just so I have this straight, if you're an owner of a business and you have employees, whether it's 1 or 100, you can become an ambassador to the National Association of Local Businesses through you and generate commissions on services that your employees use anyway.
Well, let me clarify that for you. If you're a salesperson and you're selling to businesses, you can become an ambassador with the National Association of Local Businesses. So okay. Let's use a business coach named Becky Auer. Okay. Okay. Just a random name. Yes. Becky Auer works with business owners. So if Becky Auer was an ambassador and those business owners said, Becky, do you know anybody who does websites? And you said, yeah, the National Association of Local Business, let me connect you and create an appointment for you with them. That business owner buys a website, Becky Auer gets the commission on that. And your client, in this case, would get a better deal than if she went out and shopped 10 other companies. You follow that?
Oh, could. Go ahead.
And so now the other side of that is, let's say there's a company that sells to businesses. Let's call them a copy machine sales company. They sell Xerox copiers, whatever, okay? And they're out talking to businesses. So maybe, let me use a better analogy. Let's say they sell magazine advertising, okay?
Okay.
And the magazine goes to the community and they sell advertising in the community. Well, when they walk in the door to a business, it's either buy an ad, yes, buy an ad, no. It's a binary sales process.
Right.
If they walk in and they say they want to buy an ad, when they come back next month, what is there to sell them?
Nothing.
There's only another ad to sell them. Or they buy a year's worth of advertising, they never see that person again.
That's exactly what happens too.
Now, if they buy an ad, they can come back next month and say, hey, let's take a look at your credit card rates. Or would you like to get a digital ad where everyone who receives the magazine in that town, everyone in that town will also see an ad on Facebook for your business. Now they can sell them a Facebook ad. Maybe they sell them. They
can literally become the go-to person for that business owner. They don't have to go anywhere else other than to call me and say, hey, I want this. Now, what if you don't have that type of business in your association?
I think we have it.
Oh, really? You have that many? Because I did not look at the website.
Yeah. Throw it out Throw it out.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Facebook ads.
We got it.
Printing.
Got it.
Wow, I can't think on the fly.
We have insurance. We have you name it, we have it. And if we don't, we have sources to find it.
Okay.
So, we're expanding cautiously. We take on only vetted service providers.
I was going to ask, because you don't want to just get fly-by-nights. You want them to make sure that they have credentials.
Our service providers, out of the 45, I know 40 of them personally for over 20 years. In addition to that, they have to be capable of servicing a nationwide audience at this juncture. And they have to have had proven that they can give us better pricing, and they're contracted to make sure that our customers get some kind of better pricing or additional services over and above what a normal price would give them. So we've vetted them, we've contracted them, and they are committed to the long term of our association. The other side of the coin is the ones I didn't know were referred to me, checked out, we've purchased from them, we made sure that we did our due diligence, in other words.
Yeah,
now,
for sure.
the next generation is, so when we have, you're from Pittsburgh, so when we have a footprint in Pittsburgh of enough ambassadors and enough engagement, we're going to look for high quality local providers. So we'll have landscapers and painters and roofers and car detailing and local house cleaning and local type businesses to restaurants and hospitality, local, that will give our members an additional discount, but we'll be able to get to the retail residential type consumers. And we'll have on our website the local products and services through the National Association of Local Businesses.
Well, I have to say, I am impressed.
Well, thank you.
This is pretty amazing.
Well, we've been working at it for a while, and we continue to focus on the next generation. We continue to focus on what the opportunity can bring. And Becky, look, to be very frank with you, and I don't paint pie in the sky for anybody, but this is a six-figure income for an ambassador. An ambassador who makes just 2 sales a week with averages that we've already proven out can generate $80,000 to $100,000 in the first year. And because of the residual, they'll see well upwards of $150,000 to $200,000 in the second. So
wow.
We've proven this out. It's a real opportunity. And just so I can do a shameless promotion, if I may, we are selling territories so that people can actually own the business in a county within our business. And those are the people who are going to get the 60% commissions, the owners, and then they can hire full-time salespeople to work for them. Now, follow the thinking here. You hire somebody for $350, $400 a week to be out there talking to business owners and pay them 10% of the commissions on what they generate.
Right.
Now, so we pay 60% on those people's sales. You pay them what you agreed to pay them. There's 50% left over for you to pay them. Now, if that 30-something to 40-something person moves on to something else, that 60% of their business stays with you.
So all you need is a really great salesperson out there knocking on doors for you, and you could really have a whole very passive income where you're really not providing any of the services other than your sales out there.
But you're thinking too small, my friend.
Okay.
A territory is 5,000 businesses. That's 5 to 7 salespeople in those territories. Think about Pittsburgh, and we both lived there. I was on the South Hills, you were on the North Hills. If you're from the South Hills, you don't go through the tunnel to work every day unless you're going to an office downtown.
That is
but if
correct.
if you're from the North Hills, you're not going through the tunnel to the South Hills to work every day. So there's probably somebody on the east side of the South Hills, somebody on the west side of the South Hills. You got 2 or 3 people on the north side, maybe one in Squirrel Hill, because that's a kind of a very tight community. So, and Shady Side. So you got people working in different parts of the neighborhood, in different neighborhoods. You figure about 4,000 to 5,000 businesses per salesperson. So I worked in Westport, Connecticut for close to 20 years working with business owners. There were 1,200 businesses in Westport, and I did not tap into all of them.
Wow.
So you figure 5,000 businesses is going to keep one person busy for a very, very long time. So in doing so, the owner of the territory will build up their business to the point where it's generating a couple of $1 million in revenue just to the business owner. And then that business owner, like I did with my franchise, can sell that to either another licensed territory owner or somebody new, or let the employees for him buy it together, or they can give it to that kid that was in high school when they started and is now graduated from college. They give it to them, and they pay them for the rest of their lives. So this is truly the way to own something without having to build it, without having to warehouse it, without needing a huge complex or staff people or building websites or credit card processing or computer programs. This is a business in a box. And in that, there's a 60-40 split.
Business in a box.
It's a 60-40 split where the lion's share is going to the marketing arm of the system.
And Joe, we have to wrap up soon, but tell me one more thing. Do you have, the collateral for, so if somebody, let's just say I bought a territory and I wanted to have a salesperson out there, do you have that collateral marketing information available so they can get started right away, or would I have to create that?
No, everything is created in a back office. The training is all modularized training, so that if you had somebody to train, they would log on and they would know the elevator speech and the mindset of getting started in less than an hour. They could be out talking to business owners the next 2 hours later, and then come back with 15 or 20 leads, watch module 2, which is 20 minutes, and know how to enter them into the system. They'll start getting emails, which are all pre-written for the ambassadors. The customer gets the emails, opens them, the ambassador is notified of those emails, and then there's a script in section 3 on how to schedule an appointment with those people. We're getting a 60% appointment acceptance rate from people that we talk to. I said 60, that's 60. 6 out of 10 people accept an appointment because it's the National Association of Local Businesses calling. And then we sit down on a client conversation, which is a couple of pages of guided conversation to identify what their needs are, we can help them with, and to point them to the best products and services available to them to help their needs. And then this is where the magic is. Our ambassadors don't have to know 100 different products. They just got to know how to point people to the right people who can then do the selling.
Well, it does sound incredible. So tell me where people can find out more information about that.
Sure. It's www.NAOLB, National Association of Local Businesses.com. And on there, you can click on the Opportunity tab, You can also click on the product tab and see all the products we have, but on the opportunity tab, there's all the information. It's totally transparent, Becky. We don't hide anything. Our ambassador benefits packages with all 3 entry points are there. All of the contracts are linked to that, so you can see the territory owner contracts. You can see the ambassador agreement by clicking Enroll Now. There's videos with me talking. I apologize. I have a face for radio, but there's an opportunity to find out more about the sales process and how we do everything. Everything's transparent, and if somebody wants to get started, they can click a button and be started literally the next day.
Oh, that is amazing. I am so thrilled that I got you on this call because it really is.
Well, Becky, if anybody,
tell me, when did you start that?
The business, well, again, it started back, back in 2011 with the inception of Max Exposure, but it really evolved in 2018 is when we started. It took me over a year to pull together all the service providers. I used to call it, I referred to it as the Field of Dreams, because if I built it, they would come. And they are the ambassadors to bring it to the communities. Let me also throw out one thing before we wrap up. When somebody enrolls, Becky, if they could put the word Becky in who the ambassador was, I know you're not an ambassador, Becky. If you want to be, you can, but if they put the word Becky in there as a code, I'd just like to know where the person came from so I can call Becky and say thank you to her. So if they could do that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, that is freaking incredible, and I so appreciate you sharing that with me and with our audience, and for having the foresight really to think that all through, because what an opportunity it is for even just small business people like myself, or like, really anybody out there, if they, want to have a secondary passive stream of income, it sounds like this is the perfect opportunity.
Well, not only that, people look at it as that, let me kick the tires a little bit, but the real entrepreneurs are the ones to say, holy crap, ground floor opportunity. I mean, if you had the opportunity to buy, to give Bill Gates $5,000 in 1997 when he was just getting started, you might have thought twice about it, but now would you do it? And, ground floor things are really very rare. And real entrepreneurs see that. They see what the future is. They do their due diligence. They look at it carefully. But when you see how low the investment really is and the upside potential for what can really be done, this is not a part-time kick the tires type of thing. This is something that will generate a significant income in 3-4 months. So if somebody has the wherewithal to be able to keep the lights on for a couple of months, they can be very well set in under 6 months. And there's very few businesses you can talk about that can be generating a sustainable income in as little as 6 months.
That is so true. So true. Well, this has been my pleasure to talk to you and get to know you a little better.
Thank you so much. I'm so flattered, and I do appreciate that. And Becky, if you ever want to have me come back, I'm happy to help your team. If you ever want to do a live conversation where people can do Q&A, I'll be happy to come back and assist you anytime. I believe in you and what you're doing and how much you're helping your mastermind groups and your clients and the people who just follow you because you're a winner. And I got that from you the minute I met you the other day. So thank you so much.
That's so nice of you to say, and thank you so, so much. And for everyone listening, if I would please say to reach out to Joe to find out more about he and his business. It sounds absolutely incredible, especially if you are a small business owner or even a top business professional, because that's what we're here for. So I am your host. Please tune in next time. That is a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.